It's just gonna be sick.
Hype. Well, it's
Yeah.
good that you're excited about it.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm pretty beaten down.
Yeah.
I don't feel happy at all right now. I don't know what to do next or at all. Just feel like completely lost right now.
Yeah. Because your videos have just not been getting the views they deserve.
They all have just been complete flops. The only one that's performing well is the one that's getting hate clicks. So it's not like I really care for hate clicks either, you know?
Yeah. Well, especially you're not like a channel who's built on that anyways, I feel like.
And I don't want to be one either. I don't
Yeah.
want to have like a community that's based on hatred, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
No,
like the community that I've cultivated so far, and I think it's because I've had this more like optimistic, like passionate based content.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. YouTube, it's hard to, I don't know, it's so hard to figure out where you should go next with YouTube. I think it feels like we're just figuring it out as we go in a way because we're not tied to a formula. Neither of us are. And that's like Vex said something the other night that I thought was kind of eye-opening for me. Or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I thought it was good. He's saying you got to, it's like we're trying, you and me are both trying to convey important or like,
Things that are important to us
yeah,
and reach mass appeal at the same time.
yeah,
We're putting too many constraints on ourselves.
yeah. No, it's we're not putting enough constraints on ourselves
That's
because
not
we're
what he
trying.
said. He said we're
Well,
putting too many constraints. He's like, you should just, if you want to do something that's for you, then okay, but if you want it to get views, then that's another thing.
yeah.
So he's saying it's like one or the other.
But then I see channels like Emp Lemon where I'm like, clearly he's into this topic and he's making it interesting for everyone and he's getting the success. So then it's things like that where I'm like, well, if he's doing that, why can't I do that? You know? And I think I can. I think we both have done that, obviously.
I think, yeah,
But
it's something, I think it's just hard to do, and he's extremely good at it. Like, I don't know what else to say. He's really good at figuring out topics that are, like, relevant while simultaneously making it more than just how the average person would talk about it. Like, his insights are just very, like, deep.
yeah, I would agree.
He's so fucking good, man. God damn.
I think he's good at the process because you definitely have insights that are pretty eye-opening just based on just regular conversations, like where we'll talk about things that are very, I mean, things that are very like real and everyone knows about. But I think oftentimes you'll say something that gets me to think about it in a way that I haven't thought about it before. I would call that very insightful.
I guess, but that's like not the same. That's a conversation, right? And I'm not as good at putting that in video form. At least not like he is. He's like really, really good at it, and I can't really think of that many YouTubers who are good at it like he is.
Yeah, but that's just the process. Like if you
What do you
can
mean the process?
if you can structure or boil down those insights that you have that come to you in the conversations and stuff and put that into a video narrative form, then you're doing it too. And you've done that. You have done that.
Right. But I don't consider myself good at like hitting all those nails at the same time. Like maybe I could come up with good insights, but I can't do it in a way that I'm like making it an accessible topic that people will want to click on. I don't know.
Yeah. That's the hard part too, marketing and all that.
It's such a drag, man. I really feel dragged through the mud right now.
Describe your progression or the evolution of your viewpoint of YouTube or, you know, just what you're doing on the internet from the start of the year till now.
The start of the year, I was finishing up the Rectal video. So I put out that, and I was thinking, I guess I just was thinking like I really want to make this the best video I've ever made kind of thing, blah blah blah, and I was just focused solely on that. And my view on YouTube was just like I was thinking I'm not even sure what I was thinking or if I was thinking deeply about anything at all, but I think I was just my mind was like this I want the video to perform well because it's putting all this effort into it. And then after that, I was like, I want to do a video that's something that I'm interested in that is like totally unrelated to all the other stuff I've done, which is why I started working on the Newgrounds video. Because it was like relevant to me. And I was already thinking in my head, I need to start doing things that are like unique to me because my channel is not doing well in terms of recurring viewers or building a community. So my thought process was, oh, maybe if I pick a topic that's like unique to me and I can like splice in a little bit of my own history into there, it'll be good. And then after that, I started thinking, okay, I need to start doing videos that are about topics and not about people because I keep getting other people's fan bases and not my own. So then I did the 2 Twitch videos. And then the second Twitch video bombed, which was like a big shock to me because I was like, oh, I thought my audience wants Twitch videos because that seems to be what always does well. So then I did the video explaining my thought process. And then since that point, I've done the video like every 2 weeks where I just kind of talked about either something that I was passionate about or like a topic that I thought would be interesting. And yeah, that didn't really work out.
You've definitely changed your style a lot over the course of this year. I mean, do you feel like you put out a good representation of yourself, of your personality in these kinds of videos?
A little. I think I do a better job of it than I was before.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think they have more personality.
They're obviously limited to the subject, though. It's like...
Yeah.
Like the Nintendo video is like me being angry at Nintendo, so you're getting the side of me that's angry at Nintendo. It's obviously not like the full spectrum of my personality, but then again, if I had done that video like that, if this Nintendo stuff had happened like 2 years ago, I probably would have put out a video like the one that Turned Down for Walt put out, who's a Smash Bros content creator, and his video was very much like this is the Melee community, like this is everything that they've worked for. Please,
but it's not
Nintendo.
about him.
It's not about him. It's sort of like an ode to the Melee community. It's like something I would have made before, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
but you're trying to change it up, and you're trying to make it more about your personality, obviously.
Yeah. What I did this year was something that only I could have made because it was directly tied to like my personal story of how I got into Smash, how I got into YouTube, and why this affects me.
Maybe that's why you feel so dragged through the mud, because you feel like you put yourself out there and you feel like it wasn't rewarded or it wasn't viewed as what it should be.
Well, I mean, like the feedback was positive, but the view count is so low that it's like, you know, I'm glad that people like the videos, but if so few people are going to see it, then it's not going to really help me grow and do bigger and better things. I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's always like there's that sentiment of, oh, well, if just one person enjoys this, or I'm just doing this for myself, you know, then it's worth it. But after a while, you know, when you do, like, sure, that makes sense for a few different projects, but it doesn't exactly make sense to be regularly putting out things with an audience in mind and then not reaching that audience. That's pretty demoralizing.
I just want to be in a place where I can do these videos like the fan games video, or, you know, videos that I think are cool and interesting, and just automatically have an audience the way Emblemin does now, or the way like other big YouTubers have now, where I can just automatically have like a large audience that will carry it onto the algorithm so that other people can hear my thoughts and get a taste of my point of view or whatever. Where right now it just feels like, you know, my diehard fans are watching it, and I'm really grateful for that, but it's like not growing. It's just stagnating. And
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about, it feels like there's definitely some changes to the algorithm as well. I don't know how big of a factor that is, but I mean, just looking at analytics, it definitely seems like that's a factor in it, in your content and mine getting recommended to people. But in terms of what we can control, what you can control, it's hard. I don't like, your videos are good. They're good. Like, they're objectively well made. They have interesting points. I don't think the marketing is bad. Like, I think, yeah, it's not perfect. You can always do better with titles and thumbnails, and those are important. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe there is something to the fact that, other than the Nintendo video, I get the impression, knowing you really well, that you're not super impassioned about Twitch stuff generally, or, you know, like even Star Citizen, like that, I think was a video made in mind of reaching a community.
it wasn't to reach the community. I just thought that it was like, I saw this game that has made so much money, and it was just like such a ridiculous story that I thought it'd be interesting to tell, especially through the lens of, this is what happens when you don't apply limitations to creative work or work in general. And I tried to like tell the story through that lens of like here are all these things that happened, like all these other projects in the past that were crazy, but they all had these limitations, that was why they actually came out, and here's why this isn't coming out, which maybe I could have added more to it, but I like relate to that in a sense, you know.
What are your limitations when it comes to making a video?
I mean, I guess like there is a small community of people who do want me to put out new content, so there is like a pressure to release something. So in that sense, there's like a time limit in a sense, but it's pretty ambiguous and not like cut and dry. I don't know what my limitations are, really. I guess they're like more so self-imposed than anything else. Before, yeah, though, clearly the problem before was that like I wasn't imposing enough limitations on myself, because like my Twitch culture video, which is a 23-minute video, 24 minutes, took me like 3 months. It's like unacceptable. It's not a video that should take 3 months. It doesn't have like this insane level of editing that it should take 3 months. I spent 48 hours making a fucking one transition that is no one's gonna notice. So like,
well, it actually did have in some ways insane levels of editing, but that's
I wouldn't say that. But I wouldn't.
Not insane, but you spent a lot of time editing,
sure.
And
yeah,
like you said,
of time, but it was like inefficient. That's why I spent a lot of time, because it was like very unoptimized editing.
Yeah, I think something I've learned as well. There's multiple videos I've put out recently that have taken a long time to edit, like the VTubers one, and I kind of lost the plot of what matters, where I'm like, oh, I want to seem like I'm professional and I can make cool edits, and I put a lot of time into thinking about the transitions and stuff like that, and I think it's almost like you want to put that energy towards the concept or towards the script or towards the message, rather than the editing, because the editing is so second tier compared to that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a trap I've fallen into for sure with videos, even though I'm not a great editor anyways, which is the irony of it. It's like,
it's kind of the same trap that I'm describing.
Yeah.
Even though I would argue that your VTuber video has more sophisticated like transitions and stuff than my Twitch culture video, which took the same amount of time.
Yeah, but I didn't spend 48 hours on a sick wave transition, so
that no one will notice.
What do you think about that? We've talked about this before, like a long time ago, but I was listening to this guy talk once, and he's saying like Apple products, they either still are or they used to be, where the design was so attention to detail oriented that even parts you would never see of an Apple computer let's say, were like just touched up and focused attention to detail, like interior parts even, that no one would ever see, or a very small percentage of people, but they do it just for the sake of consistent quality and like I care about the details. I feel like I've done that with videos, and you've definitely done that, where it's like I'm gonna put the extra time and effort into caring about this detailed edit, this visual thing. I don't care if only a small fraction of people get it, because I care about the quality, and the little details count. What do you think? Do you think that mentality is like the wrong one for YouTube, or do you think that holds merit at all?
I think it depends on what video you're doing it for. I think that if you're trying to put out your weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the fuck content, then it's probably not a good idea to think that way for that type of content. But if you're working on some like big masterpiece in the background that you plan to release some point that year, then you should do that, because like that's like that's the content that's like meant for that. You know what I mean?
I guess we both kind of stopped making masterpieces intentionally.
I think that I was trying to make a masterpiece every single time up until after the retro video. I like got burnt out on masterpieces.
Understandably so.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time.
It's an hour and a half long.
I still want to do my next history of like whatever it is. I want to try and make it a masterpiece, so to speak. But also, like, what is a masterpiece has like changed in my mind a little bit, because I don't know, this is just back to M. Lemon again.
Yeah.
But his writing is just so good that it's like made me realize how much I've neglected that aspect of my own videos. Like, I don't think my writing is bad, but it's just his is just so good.
His is inspired. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, yours is solid, actually. Yours makes sense. It's cohesive. There's a like it. I want to say like your writing is logically sound. You know what I mean? Like, I can watch one of your videos and understand it and digest it, and it's interesting. But his is like it's like a novel. I mean, see, like, it sounds like I'm like totally blowing him up, but like really, it's like a narrative.
Like, fuck.
Yeah, I still need to see his latest one, but it's like a good show, right? Like a good show.
It feels like a mind equals blown is constantly happening when I watch his videos, and I feel like whenever I do my next video, especially because he did it with this Hungry Box documentary too, which is like he took someone's life story and made it feel like a mind equals blown moment. So now I'm like, well, my next history of has to have that too, and like maybe I touched on that a little bit with the Reckle video, but I don't think I really did. I think I just mostly hit emotional strong points.
Yeah,
but like, now I need to add that on top of all of the things I've been doing before.
Your strength, I think, when your videos are at their best, is that you're able to really get your viewers to empathize with whoever you're talking about, or with whatever you're talking about. Like with the Reckful one, by the end of that video, you feel super invested in who Reckful is. And I think in that way, it was such a great homage, and the timing was like uncanny and eerie and in some ways almost scary, but it was like you understood this person and you felt like you were hanging out with him by the end of it, because you included so much detail and you included such a human perspective. I think that's what you're good at. You're good at providing like a human, like when you make a video about someone, I feel like you understand where they're coming from and you convey that to the audience.
Yeah, I'm like trying to capture their essence and make you feel like you have been a fan of them the whole time or something.
Right. Yeah, that's
and
pretty
I think,
amazing.
You know, I've done that better sometimes than others. You know, I kind of feel like if you look at my history of, I don't think I did it so well with the Mango video, for example. You know, I think the Mango video kind of came off as just like me hitting a lot of like key points in his history as opposed to like capturing him, stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, that, yeah, your channel has grown too since then quite a bit, and your ambitions and how you edit things.
Yeah, it's a learning process. That was still my first year or whatever. So that was like year one?
They say that, I've heard that there's a distinction between what people focus on. Like people say that some people focus on things. I would put channels like tech channels or even channels that are interested in games and stuff. Like those are interested in things. But there are channels and there are people who are interested in other people. And you can find channels like that about games too, where they focus on the characters or the story or how it made them feel, versus channels that focus on the gameplay or the graphics or the technical achievements. When we talk, I feel like our most interesting conversations come from, I guess, concepts. I mean, we both talk about concepts a lot, but I think we always enjoy analyzing people, even just people that we know, and like, yeah, this person's kind of like that. They kind of think this way. They're kind of like, I don't know. I think that's how we find
Well, do you
what
think
we
that,
find
like,
interesting.
so in the case of my channel, I spent most of the first half of my career talking about people, and then lately I'm talking about things. Do you think that I have an audience that's more interested in people than things, or do you think that the audience, a person who can be interested in both generally?
Definitely, there are people who are interested in both, and I'm sure a portion of your audience is, but I would say that you're best at telling stories about. It's not even about people, although that's what you've done, but it's more like people, it doesn't have to be about someone specific, but it's about how people are in general. Like, again, with the Recful video, by the end of that, it's not, even if you never watched Recful, by the end of that, you've kind of learned something about people in general, seeing what he went through and how he kind of dealt with a lot of these issues in his life and his triumphs and his failures and all that. So yeah, I mean, I think you're good at extracting the meaning from people. Yeah.
I kind of think that it's easier because it's more laid out in front of you already. You have like a history of actions and consequences that have already happened. It's easy to interpret, whereas like concepts and things require maybe a more creative like perspective or something like that.
Yeah,
Do
like
you
your
know what I mean?
Newgrounds. Yeah, like your Newgrounds video. That's an example of.
Well, not even the Newgrounds video, because I think the Newgrounds video is like, I don't know, somewhere on the verge of just being a history video. You know what I mean? Maybe only a little bit of it is about concepts, but more like, I think you've done it more than I've done it, actually, where you've talked about concepts and made them feel like relatable and insightful. Because you talk about things more than people, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely true. I'm trying to think of. It's so weird to analyze your own. The greatest difficulty for both of us is, I think, thinking about. Yeah, like thinking about how other people view what we do. Because we probably both have a good idea of how we view the stuff we make. But it's really hard to put yourself in the position of viewers. And there's many different kinds of viewers too. There's viewers that they don't even know what they like, but they can't even describe to you what they like about your videos, for example, if you sat down and talked with one of them.
Yeah.
But there is something there that's specific yeah. Well, reflecting back on the year, I feel like I feel like my life has changed quite a bit, or my worldview has changed quite a bit.
In which way?
Well, starting out in the year, I think I was pretty optimistic. I feel like a lot of people were that I knew in real life and online, whatever. And then I definitely got a healthy dose of fear as COVID was ramping up, as I started hearing about this virus in January, February. I mean, we were talking about it. I'm like, oh, this is, fuck, like what's going to happen? And are we going to lose all of humanity or some shit,
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that didn't turn out to be the case, which I'm grateful for. Like we're both alive and healthy, and for the most part, our families are, and that's good. Hopefully that, hopefully we can continue with that. But I guess I'm sort of black pilled a little bit, and I'm looking for white pills, or that's kind of my goal going into this year. Is I want to stay optimistic. I want to stay with a positive outlook, because there's definitely a lot to be feeling down about. Not even just YouTube or career wise, but just what's going on in the world. And it's good to be able to block that stuff out with your work, but we're both making videos on the internet, on YouTube, and that's something that's not fully in our control with how well our videos do, and if we reach an audience with the algorithm and all these things. So it definitely feels like I'm a part of this bigger system of the internet, of the world going into, I guess, just people being more afraid of things, people being less personal. I mean, social distancing, of course, has a function of not spreading the virus, but I think in many ways that's proliferated to people being more distant from each other. I feel like, not the friends I have. I think some people get closer.
You just mean society in general is being more secluded. Whatever, from the other people in it. Like, everyone is like retreating, so to speak.
Yeah.
Into their own little space.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that obviously, like you said, is aided a lot by COVID, but I do think that is like a general trend that has been slowly happening because of the internet and because of like the way everything is in bubbles. And I don't like that either, for sure. I don't want to see that happen. I don't know, like, what's your game plan to stay optimistic?
The main place I find optimism, honestly, is through the art that I enjoy, as like stupid as that might sound to some people. But when I watch a really good video, for example, I'm like, oh man, like that was inspiring. That gave me energy. That gave me motivation. Or when I listen to a good song and I visualize, how can this be depicted? Like, what does this look like? And how uplifting can this be if it's presented in the right way? Like, that is the kind of stuff that makes me optimistic. And when I hear other people who, like I was listening to this podcast today where this guy was talking about like the white pill, and like how even if you want to view it as like a big game of good versus evil, even if good has a chance of winning, that's worth believing in. Yeah. Just the chance of it. And it's not hard to believe there's a chance.
I agree. I also think that, like, personally, the state of life and existence is that, like, there's just a constant balance happening. And so if the scales tip in the black-pilled way of, like, authoritarian evil taking over type shit, it will have eventually tip back the other way at some point. And that's just like the cycle of history or whatever. So I don't think anything is ever permanently hopeless, even if certain times can feel bleak. And I will admit that this year has felt like kind of fucked in a lot of ways. Like, I probably have been more concerned about like what governments are planning this year than ever before. But I don't know. I also think it's like one part of me is thinking like everything's going to get worse and more authoritarian and harder to live and all this crap. And the other part of me is thinking like start a family, move to some small town, like find the joy in that. You know what I mean? Like that you can't take that away from me. Yeah. I don't know.
That's a beautiful thought. I mean, even just friends, I feel like if I have a close enough connection, I guess having a close connection with people is what gives me optimism. Like with you, even if we were both totally black pilled or whatever, like we both just can't find reasons, being able to connect and relate to you on a personal level that way does give me hope. It's like, well, I'm not alone in this world, and if you feel that way, and we're this close, then a lot of other people feel that way, and if enough people feel the same way, then we can start shaping at least our reality, our circle of life, our little, because it's too much to think about the world's problems on my shoulders. I can't control the pandemic. I can't control governments. I can't control YouTube or Google, whatever. I can't control any of that. But if I can surround myself with people that are positive for my life, then that's like, I guess, creating your little slice of heaven or something, right?
Exactly.
It's like
It's like finding utopia in like a disastrous situation or whatever. And I agree with you. Like connecting with other people is like, I think that's like at the bare essence of like humanity or whatever. Like that's what we all strive for, is to connect with others or something like that.
Definitely.
So that it's like the light in the dark is the people.
And the shared things, like we've connected so much over different artists like Animal Collective and Weezer and many others, Kanye
in the same sentence.
Animal
Collective and Weezer. But it's true.
Yeah. And Kanye and whatever else that we've talked about, when it's like that is the coolest thing, when, oh man, you're as into this piece of music as I am, and you have your like takeaway from it, and you feel this, you literally feel a certain emotion from it that I also feel, and we're both just kind of, I mean, you can't put it into words.
Same fire within you than it lit within me.
That's awesome. And that's
like abstract thing.
That's something that we can share with each other and with other people. Even like I've turned friends of mine on to Animal Collective, and you pretty much turned me on to them.
You're like the only friend I've successfully done that with, by the way. I've tried for years to try and get my friends to the Animal Collective and failed miserably every time.
Yeah.
But it worked for you. So.
Yeah. It's worth it if even just one person can connect as much as you do.
Yeah. I've taken a lot of joy in the fact that we can connect over it. So
Definitely. And then you've played, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is a little bit too personal, but you've played guitar and, sang not just Animal Collective, like Weezer songs too. And we're just hanging out in calls and like with friends and stuff, and you'll be playing different songs, and it's kind of like a live concert, or like I don't know, it's something like that. It's cool. It's like you're bringing to life the music that I've only heard in a studio recorded setting, which is great. Mm-hmm. But when you're playing it, it's like it becomes like a part. It becomes more personalized, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you're hearing the take. It's like we both feel this same sort of like inspiration when we hear the songs, and now you're hearing like my version of that inspiration in the form of like you could say a cover. When someone covers a song, it's kind of like a little bit of a love letter because they like the song so much. So it's like, you're hearing my little love letter of me crappily playing the songs to you over Discord in the car in my garage, because I don't want to wake up my parents because we're always doing Discord calls at like 3 a.m.
Yeah. It's like a light in the darkness. Maybe that's too dramatic, but it's I mean, it's just getting lost in something.
Light in the darkness, right?
Yeah.
It's like those are the things that like keep the flame of hope and inspiration alive within us specifically. Yeah.
And different stories too that we both like. Avatar, that's another thing that I got introduced to this year. Just the Last Airbender, and then even Legend of Korra after that. It's not like necessarily super life-changing, but it's great to see these stories that are very like hopeful, you learn a lot about these, not just these characters, but also like we were saying earlier about people in general from the lessons in those shows. And I think, that connecting over to something like that is also great. It also breathes new life. It's like, wow, this is another area of hope of optimism that I can pull from.
It's sort of like the same common theme. Like, we connect over Animal Collective for almost the same reasons, in my opinion, that we connect over Avatar, which is that they both capture like the human essence very well, and like the experience of being a human and the deep richness of what might seem simple on the outside, but is actually extremely complex and like rich.
Yeah. It's the subtleties of the storytelling and how they present what might be, you could present any of the lessons in Avatar in a really boring way, of course, and like,
and you could say like a piece of Uncle Iroh advice out of context, and someone would be like, well, that's obvious, in the same way that they might be like, oh, well, Jordan Peterson just says what's obvious, but it's like, but
the
is
story
it?
is important. Yeah, it's not.
There's
We don't.
more to
We
it than
learn.
that.
We learn from characters and stories, not from just facts. I think that's something else I feel like I've learned this year.
Definitely. It's not just logic. It's also emotion. It's everything. It's the spectrum of being alive, or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Definitely. What is your proudest achievement this year?
The Rectal video, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't. It's like something that like. I think that when I started doing YouTube and my goal was to like make really good content, like I never envisioned that I was gonna do something like that. Even, it's like I feel like I kind of made almost a full ass movie with that video, and I just I mean. I don't know. I outdid my own expectations with it, and I'm like really proud of how it came out. I'm really, really happy that he got to see it before he passed away, and that he liked it and told me personally that he liked it. So like I don't know. That's definitely like by far and wide the thing I'm most proud of, and I'm not even like I will try to top it one day, but I don't know if I will. I think I did such a good job that I don't know if I will be able to top it.
There's this piece of advice or whatever I heard that was like, think back to where you were before you accomplished what you've already accomplished now, and like how you wanted to achieve that thing, and then realize you were already there. You've done that. I think the Recful video, I'm kind of invested in it too, because when you first came up with that idea, I was like in a Discord call with you, and we were just talking about different ideas, and we're like, oh yeah, like Recful, this guy's interesting, and you got super interested in him once I think me and a couple other friends told you a little bit about him, and you just kind of got hooked on that idea, and you just set aside everything and started working on that, and then over the course of many months, you learned about World of Warcraft and Arena and like different clips from years ago, and you tried reaching out. You reached out to different people. You did different interviews. You did all this research, this writing, rewriting, these scripts, these drafts. I remember you reading like, okay, how does this section sound? Seeing that come together, yeah, it's a huge achievement. That is like it's basically a movie. I mean, you don't have a film crew and a studio or whatever, but in terms of the actual mental input that you've put into that, it is definitely comparable to a director making a movie or a writer writing their novel, right? Mm-hmm. So that's awesome that you like just seeing that from a concept and then coming into reality and then being, I would say exceeding expectations.
I still remember in the summer last year, so at this point I had no script yet. I was just researching him, and you were like, you said, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was something along the lines of like, oh, I think it's so cool how like right now you're in this stage where it's just a bunch of ambiguous ideas that are completely disconnected from each other that you have, but like at some point it's going to be a full video complete. And it's just like I just keep thinking about that. I kept thinking about that the whole time that I was making the video, like you saying that, and like as I made for every time I would make some sort of like milestone in progress, I'd be like, it's coming to life, just like Greg said it would, or whatever.
Yeah. No, that was a cool process to be a part of. and I'm
What
so
was
glad that we did it.
your proudest achievement this year?
I would say, I think actually for me it was the parasocial Twitch video. Not necessarily like, I mean, the topic is interesting, and I'm glad I got to convey that message, and I think a lot of people enjoyed that. But to me, the coolest part was just being able to collaborate with my brother for like that animated intro part, where I had this like kind of crazy idea, or he was kind of his idea of like, okay, well, what if we show the progression of time through someone just going through a neighborhood or going through a city, and then it goes to your front door, and then like there's Pokemon cards, and then it's like the 90s, and then it turns into the modern era. And I think it was conveyed really well. It was almost like a short film, the intro. So that was really cool. And I think I got so many messages. People were like, wow, this is like the best intro ever, and like props to your brother for animating this, or and it's like, yeah, that was nice. That was awesome. Yeah. It's a shared experience
it was
someone.
really dope, actually. I feel like all your videos this year, how they performed aside towards the end, whatever, they all like really like, went above and beyond, and did stuff that like, I don't know, it was just, you have a very creative editing style, and it was really cool to see that come together with you trying to like outdo yourself in terms of production value and stuff. Because I feel like you definitely did a good ass job with that.
We kind of kept each other motivated, because I would see you coming out with a video, like the Rectful video. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna top this, but I gotta like give something that's high quality too, and then I think we kind of inspire each other. That's the great part about being close with someone who's on the same creative page as you, is you just keep each other going, keep each other fueled.
Yeah, I would see like you would like show me the videos you're working on and be like, fuck, I need to like make my video better.
Yeah, likewise with your stuff.
It was pretty cool.
I think regardless of I can say for myself, I'm still going to be very ambitious with YouTube, and hopefully putting out some absolute bangers, some masterpieces going forward into this year and whatever. But either way, just creating stuff in general with you, like even music is something I'm very interested in, and you're very talented at that. Like that's awesome. That's when we're in calls, even, which is it's just a fucking Discord call, and we're just fucking around, like we're just humming or like strumming something, and then I'm just like
making noise.
Yeah, and I'm just like throwing some random idea out there, and most of it's just incohesive. But sometimes it's like, well, that kind of sounded cool, or like that I could see there being something there. Like that in itself is just fun. It's just fulfilling to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I only wish that we weren't like limited by Discord being like this like latency thing, that you were just actually in the room with me, and we could just like two complete idiots make a bunch of noises until eventually it's a cool song.
Yeah.
Just completely let loose and not at all care about how embarrassing it is.
We'll do that at some point. We'll definitely someday we'll get there and be able to just riff off each other in real time, in person. The short amount of time that we have spent together in real life was very memorable. So I'm sure if we're really putting our creative energies together like that, it will be just as nice.
Well, eventually COVID will be over. Like this shit can't last forever. And if everything goes as planned, I will have actual money to like travel with after a year from now. So I'll be able to travel to Vegas, and we could do shit or whatever,
Yeah. There's always new opportunities on the horizon, I think. And sometimes, like right now, you're understandably, and even me a little bit, I think we're both in a little bit of a rut in terms of YouTube output. But yeah, like there's always new opportunities on the horizon that neither of us can predict for. We can't plan it out necessarily, like, oh, this is going to arise and we're both going to want to do this. But as long as we're both kind of keeping our eyes and ears open for that, I think it's bound to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I may feel really down right now because of YouTube, but I highly doubt that I'm ever going to just like give up on things that I genuinely want to do for myself. You know?
Well, you haven't yet, because
I haven't yet.
You've been making music and videos since you were a teenager, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been making music since I was a teenager, not videos. I mean, I guess you could say I made Flash animations like, as a kid.
Yeah.
Kind of different, but yeah.
By the way, rest in peace. What is it?
Flash player,
Yeah.
yeah. Rip. That sucks.
How does that affect? Does that affect Newgrounds?
Well, Newgrounds has done their best to prepare for this by creating their own. Like they have. Either I don't know if they created their own software or there is alternative software out there, but they basically made like most of their stuff compatible with like if you go to Newgrounds now, you can go watch and I think play all of their old games and animations, and everything works fine and doesn't use Flash Player. So there's that for sure. And there's also they also created like some alternative like software that you can download to your computer to play anything off of their website that is Flash exclusive. I don't know.
Yeah, like proprietary software.
This is all Steve Jobs' fault.
Thanks, Steve.
You asshole.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's I think we could start wrapping this up. What do you have for I don't know, like what energy do you want to go into this year with, or what goals maybe? They don't have to be super defined. Like like what do you want to set out to do by the end of this year?
Well, my goal this year is to I'm going to be, this is the year that I'm taking YouTube off of the top of my list of priorities and replacing it with career, because obviously YouTube is not a feasible career choice for me. I think maybe it will be one day in the future, but I got to start making that money. I'm a fucking boomer here at 29 years old, so I need a career. I need to make money. So my goal is to hopefully by the end of this year be in a place where I can start moving forward with the rest of my life, which means to me I'm gonna have like an income, because I'm starting a business with my friend, and if all goes well, I'm gonna be at a place where I can stop putting my life on hold, because currently I have just completely given up on dating, because I'm like, well, why am I gonna date someone if I'm a fucking poor broke person who doesn't make money? I want to be at a place where I can start moving forward in that sense. I guess I want to have income so that I can start like looking for my person who I can start a life with, which is some very adult shit that I'm sure a few of our viewers will be relating to, but that's just where my head is at. So that's the energy. That's my focus. That's what's going to be driving me the most of this year. And obviously I'm still going to be doing YouTube. I don't know exactly to what degree my output will be, but yeah, that's my priority. That's what I'm focused on this year. What about you?
I think, well, first of all, I just want to say that like we've already talked about this, so I already kind of know that this was coming. Mm-hmm. But I think my initial reaction is like, I'm sad that you're not going to be as invested in YouTube, but it's very understandable, and maybe that's what you need in your life in general, and even for your YouTube videos, your YouTube channel. Like maybe you need to recalibrate your life, so to speak, a bit, and maybe that's going to be presenting a bunch of new opportunities, and it's not going to affect. I mean, I still view you as pretty much like my closest friend, probably. So that's not going to change our relationship really.
No.
Other than you being a little bit more busy sometimes, and that's again totally understandable.
I might have a normal sleep schedule, but yeah.
Yeah. Which is probably healthy. So either way, I think it's good that you're taking life into your own hands more. So that's a good direction to go in. I would say I have been thinking a lot about similar stuff. yeah, I would like to, I guess, have a family, get married at some point. I mean, I'm not in a rush to, but I want to, really what it is I want to have a career, a path in my life where it's like, yes, I'm successful. I'm doing this. This is my thing. I'm making it work. And I feel confident with if I want somebody else in my life to share that success with and whatever, and have my own little slice of life like we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think I to set like a goal, I have a goal. I definitely want to get over 1 million subscribers for sure. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. I think before I turn 28, that would be nice. Have over 1 million subscribers, and making a lot more money. But yeah. Also, I don't know. Well, this is just like a creative goal. Okay, creative goal is
Make an album.
Make an EP, make some sort of musical project with you. That would be so sick. That would be, even if it's not commercially successful, the fact that we would create something that we both think is cool would be amazing. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a creative goal of mine for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great goal. I think all of those goals are great. And we're definitely going to do the musical project.
Awesome. And we're going to continue this podcast. The podcast's not going anywhere, guys.
The podcast ain't going nowhere.
It's me and Sam forever.
If it was, we wouldn't be doing it right now. Let me tell you.
It's a great way to start off. Good start to the year. Us actually doing a podcast. And I'll take the blame, really, because that's something else I need to work on. Is I am lacking structure and scheduling and deadlines, but I'm fine tuning that. So we'll get there. Yeah.
Alt-right symbol.
I hope you guys have a great year, because we're gonna have a great year.
Yeah.
Good things on the horizon.
Comment your goal for this year if you're listening this far.
Yeah.
We would love to hear it.
All 12 of you who are listening this far, please share us your insights. They are valuable. I actually got a Twitter DM today. Don't take that with a grain of salt, because I get a lot of random Twitter DMs, but I got a Twitter DM that I actually thought was kind of cool. This guy was like saying he was really inspired by what we were talking about on the last episode. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. That's cool. Somebody was listening. Somebody listened that deep into the conversation. So yeah, share your goals in the comments. We will read them.
Yep.
All right. I guess that's good.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Yep. See you.